Dangers. Cards that forever, in my opinion, change the game. What's going on, you guys? So today's discussion, it's on the danger monsters. Now I know we have a Forbidden and limited list coming up soon, probably within the next week or so, maybe a little later. We already know it was going to be in the middle towards the end of April, and a lot of people have been talking about dangers and how these cards need to get hit, and everyone has their opinion on dangers. A lot of people don't like them. They think they ruin the game. A lot of people think they're broken. They think that they are the reason why there's been so many degenerate decks, etc., etc. And I'm going to be one of the people on the other end that says, I really like these cards. I like these cards for multiple reasons that I will discuss. Now, I know other channels have been in favor of dangers, and you kind of see how we're kind of like split down the middle. Half the people don't like them, half the people do like them. And it's kind of crazy when you look at it that nine different monsters, basically with all pretty much one of the same effects, pretty much like divided a community. Not only that, they have really just been included in the majority of decks that are topping, but not every deck, and that'll be something that we'll talk about. I'm going to go through all of them, just for people that aren't familiar with them. I'm sure the majority of you are, but we're going to talk about like the good dangers, the bad dangers, the okay dangers, and just things that, like, my personal opinion on them, how I feel they change the game forever. So we'll get into it. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. If you do, this will be something we talk about more on the channel, like with different cards. We already did one on hand traps before, similar to this. I wanted to try this format again because you guys seem to really like it. So we are going to get into the dangers, and I'm going to start with the big guys. I'm going to start with the level 8s, because a lot of people may not even be super familiar with all of them. I'm going to start with the newest one. So when Danger Ogopogo came out, this was the last Danger that was released. There was a lot of hype behind it, and people were thinking, oh man, what are Dangers going to do next? And the funny thing is this Danger's effect is not that great, but what it can do is actually facilitate Dangers as a whole. So what it does is they all have the same effect. You reveal them, your opponent selects a random card in your hand, you usually roll a dice. Then if they choose any card that isn't Ogopogo, you summon it, attack or defense mode, draw a card. If it's discarded to the graveyard, you send a danger, spell or trap or monster from your deck to the grave. So what this thing ended up doing is basically it made it to where you would use danger response team, the spell card in grave. You could send it, or you could send another danger. Now you guys are thinking, why would I want to send another danger? Well, in a pure danger deck, you use cards like beginning of the end, and by doing that, you need to have at least 7 darks. So this card basically facilitated this. Other thing that this card did is it added to the level 8 dangers that decks like Blue Eyes could use. Now Blue Eyes has been a deck that used to be one of the best decks in the game. It won Worlds a couple of years ago, and one thing is that now Blue Eyes is starting to see a resurgence, not only because of Archbrave and Goliath, but also because these cards help facilitate that. You get 2 level 8s on the board, you make your Galaxy Eyes, you make your Dark Matter, you send your guys, and there you go. So these basically contributed to that. They also work with trade-in, so this was one of the first ones. This is like one of the newest ones that people ended up incorporating in the deck. And I feel that this one, along with the other 2 that I'm going to talk about, are the reason why Blue Eyes players are continuing to play the deck and are finding new ways to combat the format. So Thunderbird, same thing. They all have the same effect. Reveal. If they're discarded, they get an effect. If they're not discarded, you summon them, draw a card, and that was the whole thing, is that they're like upstart goblins. So Thunderbird is basically just there to pop face down cards. This card's really good, especially when going second against back row decks like Striker and Geist, and like Subterra Guru decks. All that is because you can just pop a face down, get rid of it. Another thing is that this, again, facilitates the level 8 requirements for the Blue Eyes deck, and also for any deck that is using level 8s. Having the 2 level 8s is awesome, summoning them both, and then overlaying, doing your thing, and you're good to go. And then my personal favorite of the level 8s was actually Bigfoot. Now, while this card does seem to have one of the weakest effects, and a lot of people say that because when this card came out, this card was considered the sucky one, because yes, it's 3,000, and yes, its effect is okay. It only pops a face-up card, and a lot of people don't really care for that. But what I do like about this is this became one of the only outs to Goliath. You could reveal it, and if it was discarded, you would be able to pop a card, or if you reveal another danger, you could pop a card, a face-up card, and that was really, really good. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that because of these 3 level 8 dangers, decks like Blue Eyes are still, in contingency for, being a good deck. You can definitely top a regional with it. You can definitely do a lot of things with it, and we've seen the evolution from just using these 2 dangers to now having 3. They could technically play 9 dangers in their deck. And the one thing is that these cards are all upstart goblins in a sense, and it makes your deck more consistent, it makes your deck more aggressive. And what I really like about dangers is you just put out big monsters like this, which Blue Eyes is already just a bunch of vanillas that can't be widow anchored. You just put out more dangers to bait the back row, and then you just beat your opponent down, you know, Goliath them, and, you know, it could usually game. So it's amazing to see where the level 8s have come and what they have done for the game. So I wanted to start with these ones just because I think a lot of people forget that, you know, while people hate dangers, they are a reason why Blue Eyes are still being able to be played in 2019 with our crazy format. So things to remember there. The next set of dangers I'm going to do are the 2 level 4s and 1 of the level 7s. You guys are seeing where I'm going with this. I'm saving the best 3 for last. So I'm going to be the first to say it. This card sucks. Dogman honestly sucks. Now you may think, oh, it's affecting to reduce things by 1,000 is cool. That rarely ever comes up. The only time you're really going to see this card is if you're playing a pure danger deck, and I think a lot of people just aren't really doing that anymore. It was a cool concept when people were trying to do the danger FTK. You needed as many like ways to draw cards as possible, and what was really good about this card is it made Galaxy Tomahawk. Well, Galaxy Tomahawk ended up being a broken card, a token generator card, and because of that it got banned and no one wanted to, you know, there was nothing else you could really do with it. And if you look at this card, there's not really much you can do with it. It is definitely one of the weakest effect ones, not one of the weakest by attack. Attack wise it's quite good, 2400. And I mean, the only decks you're going to see playing this are a pure danger deck, but this card in itself is basically the worst danger, and everyone refers to it as the worst danger and as like the danger you're not going to see in many lists. But you know, it's there. It's level 7 synergy with Nessie was why it was so good with Galaxy Tomahawk, but since, you know, that card is banned, this card probably won't see as much play. Mothman ended up becoming one of the like front runners for the dangers. It was basically the 4th best danger in a sense because, you know, you discard it, you know, you get to, you know, draw and discard, you do a Dark Old Dealings effect. Its 1800 attack was also pretty important too. A lot of these dangers are not that strong. The little ones are not that strong, and even Chupacabra, the next one we'll talk about, is not that strong. But I feel that this added utility, you know, to fix your hand, and it did something. I've mentioned this before in videos. This danger does something that no other card really does, and it gives you information on what your opponent is playing. And the reason why it does that is because your opponent can draw and discard a card, and depending on what they discard, yes, it could be a generic card, but if they end up discarding an engine card, you can automatically know what your opponent is playing. Like if you see them discard, I don't know, for whatever reason, you see them discard a Widow Anchor or an Engage or something, I know that that's just, you know, or any kind of Sky Striker card, you know they're playing Sky Strikers or possibly a deck that includes Sky Strikers. So it does give you valuable information, and as you guys know, knowledge is everything in this game. So this card ended up becoming a front runner in a lot of the danger decks, and I think will continue to be probably the 4th best danger. Now Chupacabra, you would think on paper sounds like such an amazing card. This one, if it's discarded, you know, you special summon a danger from the graveyard, and it doesn't matter which danger it is, you can revive even Bigfoot as big as it is. The problem with this card, though, is this card requires cards to already be in the graveyard. So if this is the first card that gets discarded, you get nothing off of it, and that's the only thing that sucks. I think that that's why a lot of people don't really play this card. If they do, they only play one, hoping that they get a danger in the grave before they get Chupacabra discarded. So, you know, these things do happen. But again, in pure danger decks, you just max out on a lot of the dangers in order to do a lot of things. And what was really cool with these two, in a sense, is that you were able to make rank 4s. Now, I've seen danger decks go as far as to play Abyss Dweller. A lot of people were usually going the Nyarla Azathoth route, and we already know that probably coming up on the next list, that is going to be dealt with in some way. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that they're probably not going to touch these dangers. They're probably, I honestly, I'll just give you guys my honest opinion, I don't think they're going to hit any of the danger cards. I'll explain that towards the end of the video. But I feel like these cards really did a lot. Not only did they include 2 really, really cool effects for Yu-Gi-Oh cards in general, but they just added more level 4s into the game to make rank 4s. And since links have become all the rage, people forget about the XYZs in the game. And I think this brought back to a lot of players that yes, you have access to XYZs as well as link monsters in pretty much any format. And last but not least, the trio. So this is what I think everyone has been waiting for in the video. This video is why Dangers changed Yu-Gi-Oh forever. My whole point is, if you look at this, they all have different effects. They all are upstart goblins. They all do so many crazy things for this game. But these 3, since they've been released, have been the pinnacle of what dangers are. Nessie searches any danger, Jackalope summons any danger except itself. Same thing with Nessie, and with that searching itself. And Tsuchinoko, whenever it's discarded, just summons itself. These dangers have become the staple dangers that you see in most Danger Thunder decks, as well as Danger decks in general, and they just do a lot for the game. These two by themselves were played in Burning Abyss for the fact that they were basically just free monsters. They were free upstart goblins. If this one got discarded, it was guaranteed, so that meant you could make your Dante. Same thing, you could summon another 3 from the deck and, you know, make your Dante. Like, there were just ways to get to your Dante, ways to get to your win condition, just win the game. In the Danger Thunder deck, they just facilitate Yugioh, they just facilitate so many different things, and these 3 have been, you know, hailed as the best dangers. Nessie being a Rhoda is insane, being able to discard it off Dark Gruffer or discard it off any discard outlet and get a free search as well has been insane, being a +1 right there. And a lot of people are saying these are the cards that are going to get hit on the list. Now you guys are probably wondering, Slim, why did you talk about all the dangers? Well, I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention that the dangers are more than just upstart goblins. They're more than just free monsters. They actually breathed a lot of new life into decks. Now, I know a lot of people, you know, were on the back burner saying that, you know, the Lunalight deck was just a danger deck. Well, it did play dangers, but they still played Lunalight cards. It played more Lunalight cards than danger cards, and a lot of these decks do incorporate a danger engine, and it's become just that. It's become an engine that facilitates and makes a deck better than it was before. And I think that's one thing everyone is forgetting, is that yes, there has been a lot of negativity in most players' eyes to what dangers do, that they're so degenerate, they're just a bunch of upstart goblins, and you know, that can be true, but I don't think, unless you've really played dangers enough to understand, like, there'll be times like you open these cards and you think, oh my god, I'm gonna win the game, and then they get sniped. Like, I'm telling you, these cards do get sniped a lot, and since they only activate their effects in grave once per turn per each name, trust me, you can get to awkward situations where your hand is just garbage because of this. They can literally snipe it. If they snipe this one out of these 3, okay, you don't draw a card, you just summon it. Okay, that's a body on the board. If they hit this one, you special one from the deck, and you see, that's the thing, is your hand is not getting bigger. What you want to do with dangers is you want your hand to keep growing like upstart goblins, but a lot of times it doesn't always happen. And I think that's one thing people forget, is that as good as these cards are, they can backfire. Now, the whole point of the video is that I feel that these cards have really brought a lot of players, you know, success. They brought a lot of players different opinions on whether they should be banned, how they should be hit. And my personal opinion is that I don't think these cards are getting hit. And the reason why I say that is because they're not in Japan yet. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, Slim, they have to do something about them. And while I agree with you partially, I'll say that, you know, they have brought a lot of decks to the forefront with, you know, the abilities that they do share. And one thing is that they're not in every single deck. Sky Strikers, Solomon Greats, even Solomon Greats tried these cards and then dropped them immediately. I have not seen, like, barely any decks that play these guys. And that should tell you right there that yes, these cards are good, but not in every deck. And I don't feel that they are ban worthy. I feel that maybe one day we'll see what I've shown you. We'll see all of these dangers limited to 1. And then you know what's going to happen? You're just going to run one of every copy in your deck. And your deck is going to just have all these dangers. And they're all going to do something at different parts of the game. If not, just draw you more cards and do more crazy things. But overall, I think this engine, a lot of people think it was a mistake. Maybe, I don't know. I personally don't think it was a mistake. I think that these were just really cool cards that were designed. I think that the fact that they were upstart goblins is really cool, and I think the fact that, you know, they brought a lot of decks to the forefront, that I think that was just a really amazing. It gave decks the ability to compete that never had the ability to before. Now, I will also say that, you know, I'm not a fan of the FTKs. I am not a fan of any of those degenerate loops that unfortunately these cards were basically the, you know, kind of like the ring makers as to how it all came together. But overall, I really like dangers. And do I see them getting hit? Not yet. Once they go to Japan, absolutely. As soon as Japan gets these cards, you best believe some shape or form these cards are going to get hit. I don't think they're all worthy of getting hit, but I feel that certain ones, definitely the main 3 we talked about, could definitely get hit in the future. If there were any others that could get hit, I mean, I honestly don't know. I think out of all of them, Dogman is the weakest one. I feel that Ogopogo is pretty weak. I feel like a lot of them are weak for what they do when discarded. I think people really like these cards because when they're not discarded and you discard something else, you know, you get that free monster, that free draw. And I mean, let's face it, it feels really good. But think about this before the video ends, is all these cards do is put bodies on the board. It's what you make with the cards that really, you know, is the problem. So Yugioh being at 3 is a problem. cards like Nyarla and Azathoth are problems. The ability to make these cards, you know, to make these cards with the dangers basically makes the dangers the bad guys, when in reality it's the cards themselves that are being made. And yes, I could definitely see these cards getting hit. I could see these cards all, like I said, getting limited to one maybe one day, as weird as that sounds. I don't think any of these guys will ever get banned. I think, oh, not right now at least. I think some people are saying they're going to ban Nessie. I don't think so. Again, remember, unless Japan gets it, I don't think they're actually going to touch them here in the TCG, but I could be wrong. But I'd like to know your guys' opinions. What do you guys honestly think of dangers? I was really happy when Simo made his video and, you know, gave his opinions on dangers. I think that we need more, you know, people to actually like talk about the good things dangers have brought to the table instead of always focusing on the negative. You guys know me, I'm pro Yu-Gi-Oh in like every way. I want, you know, even crazy cards like this, I want them to exist. So hopefully, you know, in time we'll see what happens with the danger engine. But I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion video. I'd love to hear your opinion down below on dangers, what you think about them and what they bring to the game and what they bring to the table in general. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.